In today's episode, after a brief introduction around the 6-minute mark, we talk about how to remain fit while studying when you're in school, and then go into the second topic of the day around the 17.5-minute mark, how to survive vacation. And we're back. This is One Rep at a Time Radio. It's going to be episode number 8. It's going to be an episode on the shorter side, but I wanted to get an episode out with some interesting topics and a quick few updates. And then we will go back to the listener Q&A. I actually got a lot of good questions, so the next Q&A episode is going to be a bit on the long side, so I thought I'd get a shorter one in. Now, why is that? Well, next weekend, I am moving my stuff up to the Bay Area to start at chiropractic school at the end of this month, beginning of next month. So the odds of me being able to sit down, record a super in-depth listener Q&A, edit it, upload it, publicize it, or whatever you want to call it for lack of a better word, probably be on the smaller to slim side. So I figured get this episode out today, cover some interesting topics, and then we'll do the long Q&A. I could record that my first weekend in the city by myself. So that gives me at least a project that's going to take maybe 3-4 hours. Then I can spend the rest of the weekend just kind of getting used to the Bay Area, San Jose, figure out which gyms I'm going to go to, where I'm going to purchase my food. I mean, obviously I will use Costco as much as I can to buy in bulk. All those things of completely changing cities and not really knowing anybody, and then also, figuring out which meetings I'm going to go to, because I choose to use those for my addiction recovery process. They are not mandatory, but that's what I choose to do. So figured that would be the best game plan. So yes, moving my stuff up next weekend and then start at the end of this month. I got my school schedule. Oh, it's a full load, but I'm very, very excited. And I am going through and telling, all my in-person clients what's going on. Some of them will be transitioning to online training. Other ones will just continue to do their own thing on their own time. I'm in transition to maybe another trainer or just hopefully working out on their own. And then obviously I will be staying in contact with everybody though. So I've been doing that. And yeah. Now a big update or notice. Long story short, without going into too much detail, our original YouTube channel was deleted. Leave it at that. It was not supposed to happen this way, but it did. And multiple programmers have looked at it and they can't figure it out and thinks it's just, yeah. So it is what it is. It is a Cadillac problem, but it is a huge flipping Cadillac problem. So I went through like the 5 stages of grief over it, if I'm being perfectly honest, because that's thousands and thousands of hours of work. Now, luckily, I didn't think this at the time. I actually was able to recover most of the exercise tutorial videos I've done over the years. I'd rather have those than I probably lost 150 videos, and those are more subject or topic based, which is unfortunate because you could see the progression of me not really knowing what the hell I was doing other than just let's put out some content, really rough, rudimentary editing. Not like I'm an editing wizard now, but it's kind of cool to see the progression as I got a little bit more professional, bought a little bit more equipment, lights, like a microphone, things like that. So I lost all of those, but at least I keep my exercise tutorial video library, which is far more impactful for, obviously online training clients. So I started a new channel. So just search One Rep at a Time Training. You'll see our logo, and that's the new channel. I made a lot more exercise tutorials public just to make it easier, because I've literally spent 4 or 5 days nonstop going through, re-saving, doing a little bit of editing, and re-uploading videos. So I was able to salvage probably 150 videos. So I'm super grateful for that. It still is a complete bummer that it happened this way. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. I had spent 4 hours with this company support team before doing something, and then yeah, it's a mess. So yeah, so check out our new YouTube channel, One Rep at a Time Training. I'll also include the link in the show notes, and then definitely go to our social media at One Rep at a Time _. You'll see posts about that. So at this point, it's like I ripped the Band-Aid off. I got really upset in the beginning, and then I went through, I swear I went through the 5 stages of grief over it. But finally was able to, after about 24 hours of just being completely despondent, got over it and started plugging ahead. So I will continue to flesh out content as much as I can. Thankfully, I also posted some videos on Facebook. So I'm trying to, transition those from Facebook to the new YouTube. So just be patient. But right now it's primarily exercise tutorial videos, a little bit of fitness videos. So there's a lot of really good information there. All these cues and tips and tricks that I've learned over the years that allow people to execute and completely perform an exercise properly with good form, with a quality contraction, good intention, getting the actual muscles you want to fire, preventing injury, speeding up your results. So it is a valuable resource, so definitely check that out, and I would really appreciate if you subscribe. And if you like my stance and how I teach or give, fitness instruction, share this with your friends, family, and loved ones, and they could learn how to do something, something as simple as a bicep curl actually has some nuance to it. And if you do it correctly, man, you don't have to haphazardly swing those 50-pound dumbbells and wonder why my arms aren't growing. Well, cut that weight in half and do it with proper form and execution and all these little hacks that I use to really connect to the muscle, get a better contraction. You'll get far better results much quicker and keep you a lot safer. So definitely check that out. Now, speaking of things not going according to plan, that's going to give us our first topic of the day, and that's how to remain fit while studying. Now, why this is the first topic of the day is I've started the outside scholarship search. So thankfully I was given a scholarship from the school based on my undergrad GPA, but then, trying to get more money. So they have, links to outside scholarships. I picked one, how to remain fit while studying. It's right up my alley. Hell yeah, I got super excited. Spent 2 days or so writing and researching and actually providing links to studies of what I'm saying to back myself up, and went to turn it in only to find that the scholarship no longer exists. It is defunct. So, wah wah. That's 2 times where I obviously didn't do enough due diligence beforehand. So instead of letting that go to waste, I am determined to simply use the content that I created. So I'm just going to straight up read the essay. This was like a, semi-final copy. I had actually had a question for him, so I reached out to him to find the email was defunct, the phone number was defunct, the address, they were no longer there. So yeah, it is what it is. So I'm going to read how to remain fit while studying, and I'm also, because I did the due diligence of finding the study links, I'm going to put those in the show notes. People would ask me, why don't you link studies to the other episodes when you talk about studies? Look, I've been doing this I've been obsessed with all things fitness, health, and wellness for well over a decade, and the number of studies I have in my head, because for some reason it's like I almost have a photographic memory when it comes to those, because this subject really just clicks with me. I think I give enough information for folks can find the studies on their own. Yes, I could give you the information, but also studies alone doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So I'm also blending, studies with my own personal experience, working with folks, with me, and whenever I'm not 100% sure, I definitely try to say in theory, I try to be, I don't know everything. Nobody does. Anybody who says they know absolutely everything is full of shit. So that's why I don't include the studies, because at a certain point, I can only have so much time to give to this podcast. I know that sounds condescending or like I'm taking the easy way out, but with everything I have going on, I think that's the best I could do. Now, if somebody really, really needs to see the study for themselves, reach out to me and I'll find it for you. But for the most part, I think I give you enough information you can find it on your own. And then remember, just because I say something is how it is, it doesn't mean I'm the end-all be-all. I've been wrong in the past. I've changed my views on things in the past. So it's an ever-evolving target. There's no such thing as perfection, which is why it's so freaking cool. Science and our understanding of the health and body and nutrition and fitness and working out is ever evolving at a rapid pace. So sometimes new information comes up, which causes me to revisit things, change things, and move on from there. So anyways, that's my long explanation of why I don't always include studies, but I'm going to include them for this one. So let's just start reading. So how to remain fit while studying. Staying fit while studying doesn't come readily to mind, but it definitely should. Studying is a great time to employ a variety of hacks and habits to work on fitness and ultimately health and wellness. As a private personal trainer now returning to graduate school, it's something I've given much thought to and had already employed these tips myself during undergraduate studies. Yes, working out an hour for a day is great, but research shows this simply isn't enough in terms of total health and longevity, and I'll link to a study to that. Instead, it's activity throughout the day that makes the biggest impact, even without this key fact in hand. When one is deep into graduate school, or school in general, studying to pass exams or even boards to earn a professional license, being able to set aside an entire hour to work out may not be realistic to begin with. Instead of completely sacrificing our fitness for sake of passing marks, there absolutely are ways to blend the two endeavors. Daily activity hacks and practices are a great way to do so. While this is not the end-all be-all list of ideas, it will more than suffice for maintaining fitness and overall health while studying. Starting with the easiest actionable item first is what to do while reviewing textbooks and notes. Instead of just sitting there completely inactive, potentially leading to mobility issues down the line, we could use this time to improve lower body mobility. Sitting in a deep squat for 5 minutes or more per day is an excellent practice for this. In fact, I call this the world's simplest mobility drill, but you would be amazed by how few people can actually do this. As young children, we drop down into squats to play and examine new items we find, such as dandelions in a field, a new toy in the sandbox, or simply to draw with chalk on the sidewalk. As we grow older, we tend to become immobile because we abandon this position. Maintaining the ability to sit into a deep squat is a basic human function and one we shouldn't allow to disappear. The convenience of modern life contributes to this loss of ability. We are always sitting in chairs, whether it be in class, in our cars, at our desk studying, or even on our couch watching TV. Yet rarely do we get down into a squatted position. This is not the case in less developed countries where you see a variety of individuals, even elderly folks, drop down into a deep squat merely to wait for the city bus. By using the time spent while reading and reviewing notes, we can improve our ankle, knee, and hip mobility. I also like to employ push-ups or air squats while reading textbooks and reviewing notes. Depending on just how much reading or reviewing I have to do, I may set an arbitrary page number to do reps or simply set a timer, for example, every 30 minutes. This ensures that even though I may be studying for 4 or 5 hours straight, I'm at least moving 8 to 10 times instead of being completely sedentary. Once we move on from reading and reviewing to working with flashcards and post-it notes, we could use this time to focus on lower body strength. I love to perform wall sits while studying and memorizing key terms and formulas for an upcoming exam. While the depth and duration of these wall sits will be completely dependent upon our mobility and strength, it is a great way to build up our legs. Setting a timer and working on increasing the length of intervals works well. If the timer is too distracting, then simply having a set number of flashcards in hand to review may be a better option. Doing so may even help with retention, as it's been shown we learn best by quote-unquote chunking 4 to 7 new related items at a time instead of trying to learn the 30 to 40 terms and formulas all at once, and I have a link for that as well. Speaking of note cards and post-it notes, strategically placing these around our dorm or apartment can make sure we do small things throughout the day to stay fit and healthy. For me, this means post-it notes on the fridge, 10 jumping jacks every time I open it, bathroom mirror, 10 lunges while brushing the teeth, and 10 air squats after using the restroom, TV, get on the floor and do mobility drills during TV commercials, and near my phone charger, 10 push-ups whenever I plug or unplug my phone. Access to audiobooks or recording lectures allows us to be on the go. Doing so gets blood and oxygen pumping to the brain, which really does wonders for focus and attention. I really enjoy and recommend walking outside in the sunlight and fresh air for an extra dose of natural vitamin D, and I have a study, something we as students can become deficient in if we spend all our time indoors in class, library, lab, etc. Getting outside also gets us away from the harsh blue light of artificial lighting, which can impact our body's natural melatonin production and negatively impact our sleep later in the evening. Again, I have a link for that. For a backup plan, I luckily have an exercise bike at home, which I can hop on if it's late, cold, or raining outside. Similar to walking, when focus fails and eyes gloss over and we find our comprehension failing, a quick mini workout is a great way to change things up and give us a much needed dose of stimulating activity. This can be as simple as doing a few quick rounds of push-ups, lunges, jumping jacks, and air squats. If we want to involve equipment into these mini workouts and resistance bands, potentially even a doorway pull-up bar can come in handy. I love to pick anywhere from 3 to 8 exercise, one for each main movement pattern, such as a press, a row, or a squat, or an exercise for each body part, and perform 20 to 30 reps with resistance bands or body weights. This gets blood and nutrients into the muscle, which may improve recovery from major workouts, as well as potentially facilitate some muscle growth and or fat loss from the resistance-focused increase of calorie expenditure, depending on your nutrition, of course. Doing a few reps from the pull-up bar throughout the day or when needing a work break is one of my all-time favorite ways to get clients stronger and more proficient at pull-ups. Speaking of nutrition, while this may not be appropriate for everyone, fasting is a great tool that can be utilized for its variety of health benefits. And this includes improving insulin sensitivity, link to that. Improving cholesterol values, link to that. Improving gut health, link to that. Reducing inflammation, link to that. As well as for its cognitive boosting benefits, such as improving cognitive clarity, link to that. And increasing BDNF, link to that, which is known as brain-derived neurotrophic factor. I like to fast during big assignments or exams or study sessions when I need to be mentally sharp. I swear, once I get over the 20 hours fasted mark, it's like having the ultimate cup of coffee. Of course, folks with a history of eating disorders, specifically anorexia, or those who have slowed down their metabolisms too far, as in eating an extremely low number of calories in relation to their body weight, should not fast. Outside of those two scenarios, I found that if we have a healthy relationship with fasting, doing it for the mental and health benefits, never for weight loss, it's an awesome tool to keep in the arsenal. Earning straight A's while continuing to improve a variety of aspects of fitness, it's not just possible, but probable if we implement these items on a daily basis. Perfect adherence is not needed, but with a little bit of consistency, we can blend these two endeavors and use them to symbiotically improve our results in each. And so that was what I had written for a scholarship that is no longer in existence.
Hi family, just a quick interruption. So just to make sure you're still aware, we still offer our 100% free ebook download, the One Rep at a Time manual. You could grab that on our Facebook page, which is at One Rep at a Time. Okay, at One Rep at a Time, you spell it out, there's no underscore. It's a 52-page ebook that I had written covering my story, the purpose of One Rep at a Time, and then my 12-year synopsis covering a variety of topics about how to get in the best shape of your life, one day, one set, one meal, one rep at a time. There is chock full of a lot of information that I wish I had early on that I've learned over the years working with countless folks, doing countless research and experiments, and then just really studying this topic like you're hearing me talk about today. Now, just a quick heads up, because the website is defunct, if you click on the services little outbound links, that's not going to come up with any active URL, but just reach out to me, onerepmarv@yahoo.com, or just shoot us a message on Facebook, and we can get in touch as far as offering the services that we're still going to offer. So again, at One Rep at a Time Facebook, click on the left-hand side on the menu, grab your free ebook, type in your email, bada boom, bada bang, you get that free ebook. And if you like it, share it with your friends and family.
The last thing I want to talk about, and I had found this while going through just what I had left on my screen, on my laptop, was the bit I wrote about surviving vacation. You know, how can we go on vacation and not completely come off the rails and derail ourselves from, staying fit, healthy, eating somewhat smartly, and just, not take 5 steps back on vacation, which is something I did really when I was younger. I had a horrible habit of being really strict and rigid and dieting down and showing up really lean, like 8% or leaner. And then because I didn't have a great relationship with my body yet or with my food yet, I would pig out on vacation. And, put on, it's not all body fat. There's a lot of water retention, but definitely put on some body fat in a week or less and jump up to 12, maybe from 8% to 10 to 12% within a week. The first time I did an all-inclusive vacation in Cancun, I literally was having, this is not a good relationship with food, so this is why I share it. I literally was having room service be delivered at 3 a.m. So I'd be woken up by room service just so I could eat some more, just because I thought it was so cool that I didn't have to pay for food, and I'm not paying for booze, so I'm going to get my money's worth. So yeah, that's not really a good thing to be doing. And I had gotten really lean right before. If you go scroll through my old Instagram, was really lean when I got to Cancun, and definitely pigged out. So I am not perfect at this. I've gotten way, way better over the years. So these are some notes I had written. Originally, a client had asked me, and then I had turned it into a blog post on the old website that's now defunct, just because I'm not going to have time to do that, to do this podcast, to do school, to train online clients, to get the different certifications I need, to get my workouts in, get my meetings in, stuff like that. So I thought I would read this as well. This is kind of the rougher draft, but I think there's a lot of good information there. I'll expound on a few topics because there would be links to various videos or articles in there. So let's just get right into it. So surviving vacation. Starting with the plan ahead section. If you are someone who utilizes protein powder, go ahead and pack some. I personally will put a single scoop of protein powder into a small snack-size Ziploc bag. I may even throw in some creatine monohydrate in with each scoop. Make sure this is in your checked baggage. And then you could surprisingly bring supplemental capsules or tablets with you on your carry-on. I've never once been stopped or asked what they were. That doesn't mean bring everything with you, but you can bring some basics. For example, multivitamins, potentially omega-3s, or whatever kind of healthy oils you use. Maybe a few herbs if you so desire. So for me, this means I bring my ashwagandha, My Juice Plus, which is something that I was a huge fan of. I don't use it as much now, but I do think that it's beneficial. Multivitamin, turmeric, sleep support, and maybe some berberine. Well, actually berberine out all the time, as well as pepsin or betaine HCl for stomach acid, and maybe even some green tea extract, but that was all I would bring. So the rest, I leave home and use it as a chance to cycle off a few items, because if you guys know about me, or if you recall, the majority of supplements I take are for health or longevity, and very few, traditional quote unquote bodybuilding supplements. Like I actually had stopped, this is on a sidebar, I had quit creatine, cycled off for 2 months, and just finished loading, and I'm going to use it again. Now you can take creatine year round, but I hadn't taken a break from creatine in a couple years, so it just felt it was time for me to go off, because I like to cycle everything. Okay. And then back to the plan ahead section, bring resistance bands with you, or find out if the hotel you're staying at has a gym. I love to use my resistance bands upon waking and before bed, in a trigger or recovery session type manner. So that's where we just talked about with the study aid. You do 3 to 8 exercises, depending if you want to hit every single, body part, or you just do the big bang for your bucks, such as like a pull down or a row, and like a chest press, or maybe overhead press, probably chest press, and some lunges or body weight squats. And you do 20 to 30 reps, or just a single set to get some blood flow in there. That's not my idea, but it's something that I learned from somebody else and absolutely love it and utilize it. I'd always been doing body weight and really lightweight on days off to facilitate recovery, or maybe even daily cell swelling. But now I just recommend, these quote unquote recovery sessions or trigger sessions, whatever you want to call them. So definitely bring your resistance bands and see if the hotel has a gym. Now, if the hotel dumbbells have lighter dumbbells, which is probably what you're going to find, then you could use this method to make them feel heavier. And that method is, say you could press 75-pound dumbbells for your incline dumbbell chest press, and the gym only goes up to 45. Well, here's how you make them quote unquote feel heavier. Okay, you go down to the bottom stretch position for a count of 1, perform 1 rep. You go down to the bottom stretch position for a count of 1, 2, perform the rep. Back to the bottom stretch position, 1, 2, 3, perform the rep. So you add a second in that bottom stretch position every rep, and I promise you, by the time you're at 12 to 15 seconds in that bottom position, holy cow, those dumbbells feel heavy, because you're getting a loaded stretch on the muscle, which actually creates a lot of tissue damage, which can not necessarily build more muscle technically, because the loads are lighter. I mean, yes, they can, but if you're used to 75 pounds for 10 to 12 reps, getting up to that big loaded stretch and the big loaded stretch numbers and the higher reps, it'll at least help you to maintain. So that's something you could do. And then vacations are also a great time to focus on body weight movements, such as air squats, push-ups, lunges, planks, burpees, whatever, maybe even some yoga, or just do mobility drills. Okay. Now, for the travel itself, if fasting is appropriate for you, meaning you don't have an eating disorder or past, or if any sort of adrenal fatigue issue, or you've slowed down your metabolism so much, typically the cutoff point for me with a slowed down metabolism is if you're consuming less than 10 calories per pound of body weight, probably too low of calories to throw any major fasting in. Now, I don't like using arbitrary, calorie per body weight numbers, because everybody's different. But I think that's a good, bare minimum, at least 10. But I'd rather you be in the 12 to 13 calorie per pound range. I can't tell you how many women have started me. They're consuming 7 to 8 calories per pound of body weight, and they have a significant amount of body fat to lose, and they're eating so little and they're so fed up. Fasting is not appropriate for them. So, but if you don't fall in those two camps, and fast while you travel. Now, you're not going to be physically active during the journey, so use it as a time to improve your health through fasting. And then it may actually even help you acclimate to the new time zone. There's a study, I think it was in Harvard, was talking about it. I'm pretty sure it was Harvard something, going off the top of my head, showed that you eat a meal at the traditional meal time of your time zone, and then fast until you get to the new time zone and break that fast at one of their traditional meal times. That will actually help reset your circadian rhythm. And then, of course, you can drink water or straight coffee or tea during your fasting window. Now, once you're there, I recommend finding a local grocery store near where you're staying. Get some basics, especially if you have the ability to do some cooking, or even if you just have a fridge. So yes, you can do some smart cooking or in-room eating while on vacation, instead of pigging out, 3 to 5 times per day. Consider skipping breakfast or even lunch, so you have more calories left to play with when you will undoubtedly venture out to sample the local cuisine at night. Now, the same rules apply as above when it comes to fasting. Skipping one meal just because you're out and about doing touristy things and you're going to eat a big meal at night, maybe not be the end of the world, but We need to tread cautiously, specifically for anorexia. Be mindful of that. Now, hydrate. Doing so, make sure you aren't mistaking your body wanting to tell you to drink some water as an I'm hungry signal. So definitely stick up with your water, especially if you're doing a lot of walking outside. Just make sure you're getting in enough electrolytes. But if you're eating out at least once a day, you're getting enough sodium, period, end of story. Now, when it comes to eating out, here's what I recommend. Skip the pre-meal bread, chips and salsa, etc. To help me do this, I make sure I walk into the restaurant chewing gum. I also order water as soon as I can to sip on. Now, sure, the water may inhibit some digestion as it will potentially dilute some stomach acid, but between the gum and water, I find much better willpower to resist the cheap and crummy pre-meal carbohydrate snacking. And that's also why I'm religious with bringing my berberine, which is essentially supplemental metformin. It's one of the only supplements on the face of the earth that actually has effects as powerful as prescription drugs. We've talked about it in our 31 Days of Health and Fitness on our Instagram page. And then I bring, Pepsin or betaine HCl to offset the fact that I am sipping on water. Now, the second thing I want to recommend is we all know what is a smarter choice on the menu versus what needs to be a smarter choice. How I like to categorize food. Smart needs to be smarter. Not farter, smarter, however, whatever makes sense to you versus good and bad, healthy versus junk. It avoids that connotation of good versus evil. Now, most restaurants have calorie totals on their menus these days as well. That doesn't mean you always have to get the most bland, low-calorie option. Just make sure you aren't always eating 2,000 calories plus options every single time you eat out, the 3 to 5 times a day. Now, interestingly enough, though, the whole calories on the menu idea has been a failed experiment as people are now consuming more calories now than ever before because they thought people will make the wiser, lower calorie option. It's backfired with our human psyche. It's only 190 calories to make it a double bacon burger. Yes, please. So they've actually come out and say it's been a failed experiment. I don't know if they're going to retract that legislation I'm talking about here in the States. But yeah, it's been a failed experiment. And then number 3, order of operations when you're eating your food. Protein first, vegetables second, carbohydrates last. You don't need to clean your plate spotless every meal, and this will also increase the odds you skip dessert a few meals as well. I don't know about you, but if I eat my protein and veg first, it kind of fills me up because remember, protein and vegetables, which have fiber in them, are the most satiating of them because of the highest thermic effect. Around 30% of all calories consumed from protein and fiber from vegetables is burned off through the digestion process. Compared to fat and carbohydrates, which is anywhere from like 2 to 8%, it is a significant difference. So that's why I go in that order. Okay, so that's how we talk about for eating out. Now, again, once you're there, get your NEAT up, which is we talked about last week, increasing your STEP, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Take advantage of wanting to be a tourist and making sure you get some walking in. Walk after a big meal out will also do wonders for your digestion and your insulin sensitivity like we've talked about. You could add seemingly silly things too, such as every time you use a restroom, perform 5 to 10 bodyweight squats, or every time you see a certain monument, you perform 10 jumping jacks to increase your activity levels. Make a game of it, especially if you're traveling in a group, and quit worrying about what others may think. Again, I know I say these things a lot, but they're little hacks that really add up over the course of a day. And then if you want to be a rock star and go outside the box, short, explosive movements before a meal will improve your insulin sensitivity. Example is 10 to 20 burpees before eating. Now, I know this seems extreme and unlikely to be done, so I put it last on the list. I see this being more practical if you're ordering room service or at a friend's house. You can sneak into an empty room or hallway to do so. Or you could simply enjoy yourself and make a game to see if anyone in the area stops to ask what the hell you're doing. So those are just some notes I had talked about surviving vacation. So, yep, hope that gave you a couple ideas. And I think that's going to be the end of today's episode. So definitely would appreciate any feedback. Share us with your friends, family, and loved ones. And then go to our social media at @OneRepAtATime_. Our Facebook is at @OneRepAtAtime. And please check out the new YouTube channel. I've got a lot of catching up to do with subscribers. God, so unfortunate. But, everything happens for a reason. It is what it is. I'm moving on. And that's One Rep at a Time training. And then we'll see you probably in 2 weeks with our listener Q&A episode. Keep the questions coming because I always want to I'd rather have more questions in the bank than what I've been able to cover. That way, I always have topics to go over for you guys. And then if you want to get hold of me directly, you can email me onerepmarv@yahoo.com. And remember, family, we can do anything we want. 1 day at a time, 1 set at a time, 1 meal at a time, 1 rep at a time. Marv, One Rep at a Time Radio. Talk to you soon.